Biden administration is accused of cozying up with oil-rich dictators as gas prices near record levels. Biden's advisors are reportedly discussing a possible visit to Saudi Arabia this spring to help repair relations. And get this, U.S. officials began rare face-to-face meetings with Venezuelan officials in Caracas over the weekend. All this as the administration is trying to hammer out a new nuclear deal with Iran. The average for a gallon of gas in the United States now tops $4. That's the highest in 14 years. General Keane, starting with you, according to two sources that spoke with Reuters, the United States is prepared to go it alone on embargoing oil from Russia if the European allies will not. We know President Zelensky has said it may be called an embargo, but it's simply refusing to give money to terrorists. What does it mean for us if we go it alone on this embargo?
Well, first of all, we should get our allies involved in this, and I guess there's a certain amount of reluctance because of their dependency, but it's the right call to make. It should have already been done, and I think it's just a moral imperative to not be taking oil and giving Russia money to fuel a war that we're opposed to. The fact that there has to be congressional pressure on this administration to awaken them to that moral reality is somewhat stunning. But let's be frank about it. Russia will make that up. That's because they'll go to the Chinese, they'll probably get it discounted, and they'll get some of that revenue. But the principle involved here is clearly what is very important. I also think that we should go after their oil and gas industry per se, and get the Europeans, as much as they're more dependent on it than we are, to get them really involved in a comprehensive way here and try to compensate for the lack of oil and gas in terms of helping and assisting them, particularly with the gas. And we've discussed before the ways that can be done. But I'm glad the administration is moving forward. Let's pull the trigger quickly, get this done. And the absolute absurdity in looking to a communist dictator who's an ally of Russia like Maduro in Venezuela, or the Iranians who are also an ally of Russia as a source of this, makes no sense in as much as buying oil from Russia makes no sense. That is unbelievably lame on the part of the administration of pursuing a goal like that.
It is. I mean, in 2019, we cut off diplomatic relations with Venezuela. President Trump recognized Juan Guaido, the opposition leader, and now we're meeting with them. A total turnaround. But Kennedy, take a look at this. Our domestic energy capacity as Americans face more than $4 at the gas pump. Look at this. We've got about 38.2 billion barrels in oil reserves, 5.7 times our annual consumption. And Senator Rubio making the point, okay, let me get this right. So we won't tap into energy here because of the climate crisis, but Venezuela doesn't affect the climate crisis.
No, we have to deal with a life and death crisis, and subsidizing Russia in their murderous march into Ukraine. We are an oil-rich nation, and this is not the time to take a political and moral stand. We have to tap into the energy that we've got here, and we've got a lot. We are still very much dependent on oil. So why would we depend on this horrific cartel between Venezuela, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Russia? They're in it together. They're only going to grow more desperate as the globe weans itself off of oil. And I hope we do. I hope we have thorium nuclear energy in this country. I hope we have new innovations that get us off of this dependency. Until we do, then we have to create and really maximize our own oil and energy independency here and be self-reliant.
Yeah.
You know, that if you're worried about life and death in terms of the climate crisis, worry about life and death in the here and now, in the present there.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is, in my view, this administration has never really cared about gas prices. I want to flash back to what our energy secretary said in November.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious. Would that I had the magic wand on this. As you know, of course, oil is a global market. It is controlled by a cartel. That cartel is called OPEC.
I think Americans will remember that at the pump. Harris.
Gosh, it must be contagious for some of the people in the Biden administration. It's like a giggle fest.
It is.
It's disgusting. You were preaching just a moment ago because when you called out that cartel, I mean, at least you acknowledged that, Granholm. I mean, my goodness. But Saudi Arabia, are they our friends, General Keane? Like, I'm looking at Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and I'm wondering, will we have to cozy up now to go beg them to do more? Are they really friends? By the way, they were noticeably silent in the Middle East after the war started a week and a half ago. Noticeably. Turkey, Israel spoke up. Qatar said, well, we wish everybody would work it out together. So they weren't that strong. But where was Saudi Arabia when this started? Whose side are they on? I'm really curious. And as Kennedy points out, they're on their own side.
They are. And
well,
oh, go ahead, General. Yes.
Well, yes, we treat them as a partner in the region, and it's one of these relationships that we have. It brings into mind the tension exists between having a partner for security reasons and also frustrated with that partner because of their values. And that tension is always there with Saudi Arabia because we're so out of sync with their values. And that's what comes into mind with the Khashoggi affair and the wanton use of air power in Yemen that killed so many civilians, and we know how to avoid that. So yeah, there will always be tension going forward, but we provide them arms and munitions and significant amount, to be frank, and we have shared intelligence with them on radical Islam, and we share a partnership with them to push back on the Iranians. So yes, we will go forward as partners with Saudi Arabia, but there will always be times when there's going to be tension over the difference in our values.
Rebecca, and meanwhile, the United States government trying to revive the Iran nuclear deal. Apparently, they won't even meet with our envoy, and Russia, apparently the key to get to Iran. All these bad actors tied together.
It's hard to plan a worse course. If we were trying to say what would be the most disastrous foreign policy, I mean, this would essentially be it, right? I mean, the Biden people are going to Maduro for energy. They'll take the money that they get from the United States. They'll buy weapons from the Russians. The Russians will take money and buy commodities from the Iranians, who will buy weapons from the Russians. I mean, there's this triangular thing happening between our adversaries, and the Biden administration's solutions feed into it. It's just unbelievable. One more point on Saudi Arabia, too. In the last administration, the Trump administration reached out to the Saudis, understanding they were key to countering Iran. The Biden administration came in and really roiled that partnership we have with the Saudis. And that's when the Saudis started to reach out to the Russians. So now they've been chilly towards us, and they've been pushed into the Russian camp. Again, Harris, we've talked about this before. This administration's inability to see where there is value in partnerships, where there are friends and allies, has been so terrible. And we're seeing the culmination of that play out before us with Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a fascinating distinction. It's like a chess game, and it just feels like we're on the losing side of it right now.